At first glance, it doesn't even look alive. It looks like a cluster of dark seeds tangled beneath a thick coat of fur. But look closer. Every one of them is moving. Tiny legs grip tightly against the skin. Swollen bodies cling beneath the hair, hidden from the wind, protected from the sun, and almost impossible for their host to reach. These are African hard ticks. Some have only just attached. Others have been feeding for days, growing larger as they draw blood from an animal powerful enough to outrun predators, yet unable to remove creatures no bigger than a fingernail. The ear twitches. The fur ripples. Still, the parasites refuse to let go. Slowly, the camera begins to pull away. What first seemed like an isolated patch of parasites is only a tiny corner of something much larger. Beneath this coat stands Kibo, a mature male greater kudu. Towering spiral horns rise above his head. White stripes run across his muscular body. Calm and alert, he appears perfectly healthy. Yet hidden beneath his beautiful coat is a problem that strength alone cannot solve. Kibo has lived with parasites before. Every season brings new waves of insects searching for warmth, shelter, and an easy meal. For a large herbivore, a few ticks are simply part of life. But when dozens gather in places that are almost impossible to reach, even an animal this powerful begins to struggle. He flicks his ears again and again. His head swings sharply from side to side. The muscles beneath his striped neck tighten with every sudden movement. For a brief moment, it seems as if the shaking might work. Yet the ticks remain exactly where they are. Their tiny hooked mouthparts anchor them firmly to the skin, allowing them to stay attached even when their host runs, jumps, or twists through dense thorn bushes. Kibo changes tactics. He presses the side of his neck against the rough bark of a nearby acacia tree. Slowly, he rubs back and forth, hoping the coarse surface will dislodge whatever is causing the constant irritation. Dust falls from his coat. A few loose hairs drift into the air, but the parasites are still there. Next, he lifts a powerful hind leg and scratches behind his ear with surprising precision. For a second, the movement reaches the edge of the cluster. One tiny tick loses its grip and disappears into the grass. The others barely move. Beneath the thick fur, most remain safely hidden. What Kibo cannot see is that the cluster behind his left ear is only part of the story. Smaller groups are scattered across his shoulders, along the folds of his neck, beneath his chest, and deep inside the warm, sheltered spaces where sunlight rarely reaches. Alone, the giant has reached the limit of what he can do. High above the grass, another pair of eyes has already noticed Kibo. Perched on the branch of a nearby acacia, a small bird watches every movement below. Compared to the towering antelope, it seems almost insignificant. Yet appearances can be deceiving. This is Tano, a yellow-billed oxpecker. He isn't searching for leaves, seeds, or fruit. He's searching for something much smaller. From his perch, Kibo's restless movements reveal exactly where food might be hiding. Every twitch of an ear, every sudden shake of the head, every irritated scrape against the tree points to the same place. Tano launches into the air. His wings beat rapidly before he glides toward the giant below. Instead of landing on the ground, he settles lightly on the spiral horn. Kibo barely reacts. Encounters like this are nothing new. With careful steps, Tano walks down the curve of the horn, using it like a narrow bridge. He pauses. Tilting his head from side to side, he studies the thick fur behind the left ear. Hidden beneath the hair, several engorged ticks remain perfectly still, relying on camouflage and their firm grip to escape detection. But the bird sees details that the giant cannot. Tano leans closer. His bright yellow bill gently parts the fur. He doesn't rush. Every movement is deliberate. One careless peck could miss the parasite completely. Then, he finds exactly what he was looking for. The first choice matters. Tano ignores the smallest ticks hidden deep within the fur. Instead, his attention settles on one of the largest. It has been feeding for days. Its swollen body is smooth, pale, gray, and stretched tight with every meal it has taken. Only its tiny legs and firmly anchored mouthparts still connect it to Kibo's skin. The bird lowers his head. His bill slips carefully between the strands of hair until the parasite is fully exposed. He pauses, measuring the angle. A careless pull could leave the tick in place. A precise grip gives him a far better chance. With a quick movement, Tano closes his bill around the base of the tick. For a brief second, nothing happens. Then the parasite releases its hold. The engorged body lifts free, leaving only a tiny opening that quickly disappears beneath the surrounding fur. No blood spills. No dramatic struggle follows. In nature, many of these encounters are surprisingly quiet. Tano tilts his head back and swallows the tick whole. For the bird, it is a meal rich in nutrients. For Kibo, it is one less source of constant irritation. The Kudu flicks his ear once. Then he becomes still again. Encouraged by the first success, Tano continues his search. He parts another patch of fur. A smaller tick disappears with a single precise peck. Then another. Each removal takes only seconds. Yet every parasite demands the same patience, the same accuracy, and the same careful balance between speed and precision. Beneath the afternoon sun, an invisible burden begins to grow lighter. Kibo lowers his head. His breathing slows. The muscles around his neck soften. He cannot see the tiny bird working just behind his ear, but he can already feel the difference. Even so, the largest challenge is still waiting. Hidden deeper inside the thick fur lies one enormous engorged tick that has escaped every attempt to remove it. Tano has not reached it. The cluster behind Kibo's ear is no longer the bird's only destination. With practiced confidence, Tano moves across the giant's body, exploring places where parasites are most likely to gather. Every region tells a different story. Around the base of the horns, the fur is dense and shaded, offering protection from the harsh African sun. Along the neck, loose skin creates narrow folds where warmth and humidity linger longer than on exposed hair. Beneath the shoulders, movement is constant, yet the thick coat still provides countless hiding places for tiny hitchhikers. Tano searches each area with remarkable patience. Sometimes he finds nothing. Sometimes a single tick is tucked deep beneath the fur. And occasionally, several parasites are feeding only a few centimeters apart. Before long, another oxpecker lands beside him. There is no sign of competition. Each bird naturally focuses on a different patch of fur, reducing the chance of getting in each other's way. A third bird soon joins the search, working quietly along Kibo's shoulder while Tano continues inspecting the folds beneath the neck. Together, they cover far more ground than one bird ever could. Kibo remains almost motionless. His breathing has become slower now. The constant twitching of his left ear has nearly stopped. Every few moments, his skin ripples gently, sending small waves through the striped coat as flies drift away in the warm afternoon air. Yet even after dozens of careful inspections, Tano pauses. Something larger still waits beneath the thick hair behind the left ear, hidden where the fur grows deepest. The biggest parasite of all has remained untouched. For several minutes, Tano has ignored the largest tick behind Kibo's left ear. Not because he failed to notice it, but because reaching it is far more difficult. Hidden beneath the thickest patch of fur, the parasite lies close to the base of the ear, where every movement of the giant's head shifts the hairs around it. Tano waits. He doesn't force the moment. Experience has taught him that patience often succeeds where haste does not. Kibo lowers his head to browse on a nearby branch. For just an instant, the fur parts naturally. The swollen tick is exposed. Tano steps forward with complete focus. He gently separates the surrounding hairs, searching for the narrow point where the parasite meets the skin. Once, he adjusts his position. Twice, he pauses again. Then, with one precise grip, his bill closes around the base of the tick. A firm pull. and the parasite finally releases. The heavy body disappears into Tano's bill. Kibo flinches only slightly. A brief twitch passes through his ear. Then the movement fades. The place that had irritated him for days is finally quiet. Tano swallows his meal and remains where he is for a few more seconds, not searching for another prize, but making sure nothing else has been overlooked. The afternoon sun begins to sink toward the horizon. Long shadows stretch across the golden grass as Kibo slowly leaves the acacia behind. He is still carrying a few parasites. In the wild, no animal is ever completely free of them. But the constant irritation behind his ear has faded, and the restless shaking that marked the beginning of this story has almost disappeared. Tano watches for a moment before lifting into the warm evening air. Tomorrow, he will search another herd. Another antelope. Another giant carrying a hidden world beneath its coat. Neither animal planned this encounter. Neither one owes the other a favor. One found a meal. The other found relief. That is how countless relationships in nature endure. Not through kindness, but through balance. Across the African savanna, survival is rarely the work of strength alone. Sometimes, it begins with a bird small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, and a giant willing to stand still.